we do it. This is how we do it.
Welcome to the M&M Show. I'm Marcella,
Monica.
and today we are here with Kevin Skipworth, managing broker and owner of Dexter Associates Realty. How are you today, Kevin?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us.
And today we're going to be talking about the speculation and vacancy tax.
Ooh.
Perfect.
So Kevin, what is the speculation and vacancy tax?
Well, speculation and vacancy tax is a province initiative that was part of their housing affordability plan that they came in place with. It's different than the City of Vancouver empty homes tax. It is for certain regions in the province, namely Metro Vancouver, Fraser Valley, Victoria region, Nanaimo region, Kelowna. You can find on their website the exact location, but anybody in those regions will have received, if not by now, shortly receiving a letter from the province indicating they have to make a declaration.
Okay. Or you could always get one of these guys.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what does this mean? If I own a property, does that mean I'm subject to this tax, or how does that work?
Basically what it means is if you own a property in one of the regions identified, you have to make a declaration that the home is not vacant and that you are either using it, and if it is vacant, then you will be subject to the tax. The tax will be for this year 0.5% for everybody for 2018. 2019 it will be 0.5% for anybody that's a Canadian citizen. Anybody that's not a Canadian citizen, the tax will be 2%.
2%. Okay.
And that is of the assessed value.
Correct. That's of the assessed value, and the tax rate will be based on that year's assessed value. So for next year, when you're filling out your exemption, which will be in 2020 for the 2019 year, it'll be 2% of your assessed value.
Perfect.
Okay. So how would we be exempt from the tax?
Perfect.
Generally speaking, what they look at is if it's a principal residence, you would be exempt from the tax, so you own and occupy the home as a principal residence. If it is a rental property, you have an arm's length tenancy agreement, which would have to be more than 6 months of the year,
Okay.
and the tenancy period would have to be a minimum 30 days. Those would generally be the conditions which would allow for an exemption.
Okay. Awesome. And how would one complete the declaration for the exemption?
Essentially, you'll get this letter in the mail, and on that letter we'll give you a code to go online and do the declaration. You will also be able to do it by phone for those that do not have the ability to connect online. One of those two methods would have to be done, and you have to do it by March 31st to ensure that if you qualify for the exemption, that you would get that exemption and not have to pay the tax, which would be due July 2nd.
Okay. And what happens if we don't complete the declaration?
If you don't complete the declaration, then you will be subject to the tax. The key thing to remember is every person on title has to do their own exemption. So if you have a married couple, both would have to go in and do the exemption. We've also seen situations where you perhaps have a parent and a child on title. Maybe a parent helped a child buy a property and they're on title, or for estate planning, perhaps a child's on title of an elderly parent. Both of those individuals would have to go online and do their own separate declarations, and that's important to remember. One thing that we've seen recently is if the name on title and the address is different than their current address, they would have to make sure that they get that exemption or declaration package. So if they haven't received it, then they'll want to contact the speculation branch of provincial government.
And if the title is under a corporation or a company name?
Yeah, under a corporation, trust, they will still have to do their own exemptions. You'd want to go online to find out about what those exemptions are and how they would process them.
Okay. Awesome. And please ignore my ignorance, but what are they interchangeable, speculation tax and vacancy tax, or are they two separate taxes? Are they?
Well, for the province of British Columbia, they originally called it speculation tax. They added the vacancy tax because essentially that's what this tax is. It's a vacancy tax. They're wanting to ensure that homes that people have purchased are lived in, and those homes that are not lived in, perhaps a second property for an individual that may be a family residence that they use part-time. If it's not rented out and not a principal residence, then it's going to be subject to the tax. So it's essentially a vacant property. Again, to be clear, it's not the same as the City of Vancouver empty homes tax. They are two separate taxes. So anybody in the city of Vancouver will have to make sure they make both declarations.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. That was very informative.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Make sure you get out and do your declaration.
You got it. Thank you.